Hello, Stampin' Scrap Tammy customers. I am sending you a very short video along with your tutorial to give you a few tips and tricks for putting together your sampler that you have received or will be receiving shortly. So these are the supplies included in your kit. You're going to get the base layers, and then each one of the squares is coming in these envelopes. So 1, 2, 3 is going to be the top row, and then 4, 5, 6 is this middle row, and then 7, 8, 9 is the bottom row. It has all the embellishments and paper supplies for each one of the squares in these envelopes. I have gone ahead already and adhered all of the base layers because that's a pretty simple thing to do. So I went ahead and did all of that. And I will set these aside, and then I will go through each one and tell you if there's like a little trick that I used and what adhesives and things I used to put them together. The biggest thing when I'm working with really small things and when there's some delicate details like this is I do use my silicone mat. Or if you don't have a silicone mat, you can just use some scratch paper and then throw it away as you get adhesive on it so that you don't get adhesive on your projects. And one thing I should grab is, so this is what our finished product is going to look like. Of course, you do have a photo of this in the tutorial, along with the supply list. If you have any questions on the supplies that were used, they're all on the supply list. All right, so if we're going to start here with, let's see, box number 1. So I've already done that, and you can mix and match these however you would like. And so all I'm going to do to adhere this is put a strip of glue on the glimmer paper. And then I will just attach it to this very detailed piece and then flip it over. So now you'll see how that silicone mat is nice. Nothing sticks to it. And then I will run the tape along it one more time and then put it to the center of my square. And then the second square is this flower here. And so you should have 2 of these. And I'm just going to put tape right in the middle of it and off center them a little bit so that you get a fuller looking flower. And something I like to do with the flowers like this is I like to curl them up a little bit, especially if I'm putting them in a kind of 3D frame like this or a card that I don't have to worry about it getting smushed. And then I'm going to take some glue dots and put a glue dot on my leaves. And you have 2 leaves in there. And I'm putting it on the front, or, the front of where I'm going to glue. So then I can just place it like that and see where I want it to go. And then I'm going to attach it to my square with some dimensionals. I want to make sure it's going to stick good. So as you see, one little glue dot on there works because I'm putting those dimensionals over the top. So that's my second layer of adhesive. So it's not that important to put a lot on the first layer. And then we'll just stick that on the center of this square. And then last, I'm going to add this cute little palm thing, the center of the flower. And so in this project, almost everything is carrying over with the exception of a couple of things. So if you want to make sure you can recreate this frame or this look for the whole next year, because the Ornate Garden collection is something that's carrying over. The only things that are not that I'm aware of are these palms for the center of the flowers. Those are going to be retiring, and I think they're even on sale right now. And then the gold glimmer paper is actually retiring as well. So if that's something that you would like, please contact me and I'll make sure to get that ordered for you. All right, next up, I need to get some tape. So this one, also very simple. I cut the ribbon to about 3.5 inches. And so you just want to flip it around and then just use regular Scotch tape. Or if you have washi tape, that would work too, to adhere that. And then you're just going to put your bow on with a glue dot. So that takes care of square number 3. So as you can see, this goes together quite quickly. And then this one here, I'm going to decide how I want that. You can go this way, or I think on my original, I have it going this way with the yellow in the back. So the first one I'm going to just put on with my snail adhesive. And then the second one, I'm going to pop it up with some dimensionals. And that takes care of square number 4. And then moving on to the center square, I've already adhered all of that together. This is where we will do a very quick heat emboss. So let me move this stuff up a little bit. And so here we just have this small strip. Now, if you don't have gold embossing powder, copper would work. But if you don't have any of that, something you can do is just stamp it with a darker color, and any sentiment that you want will be fine. I'm using the Grateful part from the Ornate Thanks stamp set. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get ink, or the Versa mark is what it's called, on the Grateful part. I'm going to skip the sew. So I'm just going to be very careful so that I don't get ink on the sew. And then I have just a scratch piece of paper under there. I'm going to let that soak in pretty good. And then I will just sprinkle, I'll move this over here, and I will sprinkle the gold powder on. And then just tap all the excess off of there. And I can set that aside. And then typically how I do this when I have a small piece here, actually, I showed this the other day. If I have any excess, I will just take a paintbrush. Now, I know I talked about this in my video the other day during the virtual party. If you like to use the embossing buddy, that is something that is retiring from Stampin' Up. So that's another one of those things. If you want to get it, please contact me and I'll make sure that you get one. As long as they're still available. Things are selling out, so you don't want to wait too long. Okay, and then we'll just heat that. And then this, you'll see it is just a little bit longer, which is how I wanted it. I wanted to hang over the edges of this since it is the center. So I will put some dimensionals, and I'll just make sure I don't put them too far to the end so that it'll stick onto that square. So then it's real easy to put onto the base when we get there. All right, next up we have square number 6. And this is going to be another glue dot one. And especially on this glimmer paper, regular snail does not stick well, or really for that matter at all, to glimmer paper. So glue dots, dimensionals, tear tape are your best options. And especially with glimmer paper, I make sure I press it down really nice and firm so that it will stay in place very, very well. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do here is also put a bunch of them on the back. And then stick that in place. So you see just the nice touches of color and the dimension you get when you add that extra vine in the back with the glimmer paper. Just adds quite a bit to it. And then on there, we do need another bow. But I think I had a bow sitting here and I moved it. Let me grab another one. So you will notice in your kit, I do have all your bows tied for you. Which I love to tie bows, believe it or not. And so I'm just going to put a bow in the center of that. And so that takes care of number 6. Number 7, I already did up for you, or I already did it up, not for you. I did it up in this video because it's the same as the one up here. So same thing, you just use some Scotch tape to tape that behind there and then add your bow with a dimension, or not a dimensional, a glue dot. And then next up we have this beautiful one. And so on this one, if you want to recreate it, I just cut out a piece of gold foil paper with the Ornate border dies, and then I just snipped it off. So everybody's is going to be just a little bit different. And this is where I will use the silicone mat again. And I'll just kind of touch a little bit on the edges here, but I'll make sure I get that top part fully adhered there. And I'm just going to tape it to the top part of this. So as long as you got that top strip nice and good, it's not as important to get, you know, the bottom part as much. And then our last square is this beautiful one here. And this has that gold glimmer again. And something else I was surprised is the scalloped circles are retiring as well. Nice thing about those, if you are interested in them, is they're only $6 right now. So they're heavily, heavily discounted. There's this bigger one here. And there's also one a size smaller. And I think I've used them on most of the card kits I've done lately. So that's one that I will definitely miss, but it is a great deal right now. So if that's something that you want to use, again, that would be something to get right now and at a discount. All right, so here I'm going to put, since I'm working with the with the glimmer paper, and dimension is always good, I'm going to put these flowers on with dimensionals. I am going to pull in a mini dimensional, so if you have both sizes, a mini is nice for this small one. And then I'm just going to layer them here in a little bunch and overlap them just a little bit. And everybody's colors will be different. You will have 3 different color flowers, but you know, your big one might not be the terracotta tile. It might be the yellow or the daffodil delight or the mint macaroon. And then to finish things off, I do have the gold faceted gems for you. And I will use my take a pick tool if I can. Sometimes it doesn't always work with bigger ones. Sometimes it's easier just to take them off. And then that completes your project. I'm not going to adhere it all to this. I don't have any great tips for you on this. I just eye mine and put it on. One thing you want to check before, if you're putting this in a frame, something you want to check is your sizing here. So you may want to, if you want to see more of this edge here of the terracotta tile and the mint macaroon, you may want to trim down your white another 1/4 of an inch, because sometimes the frames take away this little bit. I noticed every frame I have is a little bit different. So that's something that you might want to check out before you adhere it all together. On mine here, I have it the size that you're given. But when I put it in the frame, I didn't see very much of this mint macaroon in the background. So just play around with that before you adhere it all together if you plan to put it on in a frame. Again, this is an 8x8 sampler. I hope you enjoyed it all, the little tips and tricks. If you have any questions about it, don't hesitate to contact me. Have a great day and have fun putting your frame together. Thank you.